Good evening. You're listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob. Alongside me tonight, I have from the Great Midwest, RDV, who's going to be reviewing Tulsa King with me, Season 1, Episode 2, Tuesday night. And of course, I have Professor Pixel as well, who just got done on my live stream covering the Bond films in order. We just finished with Moonraker. So check that one out here, too. Tonight, of course, we're talking about sequelitis in the 80s. But you know what? It's okay because it's a canon classic. And of course, we're talking about Gore. No, not just Gore with Oliver Reed. We're talking Outlaw of Gor. Gore 2, Electric Boogaloo, for those of you in the know. And I have to sit there and say, RDV, when we talk about 80s films, generally speaking, here on the Xtreme Movie Show, and we branch off from that, one of the things we like to do is kind of pick up little bits of obscure pieces. And I had a Twitter follower today kind of reach out and talk about Radioactive Dreams. He's like, hey, by chance, did you guys do this movie? And I'm like, well, as a matter of fact, yes. And that's the type of subscriber, that's the type of person that would just be interested in Extreme Movie Show besides the general public. And frankly, those of you that know about Gore will know about Gore too, because there's a lot of things to say about this movie. And I think for me, all I'll simply say is sometimes I can get seduced by the very simple. And when I see Jack Palance or just all the headgear that Oliver Reed had in the first movie and the headgear that I see in the second one here, big hair and boobs and skin and all that, not quite as many torture acts as the first movie, which I was slightly disappointed because that was such a plus for me. But this movie's just like the first. It's, if you're interested in the obscure and the sword and sandals kind of stuff from the 80s, you got to watch this. And if you watch the first one, you have to go all the way and watch this. It's not for the mainstream, the people that like E.T. and want wholesome sorts of things, but I'll just simply say it is what it is, and I'm certainly wasn't offended by it, and it saddens me that there's no films like that today. But RDV, you've covered a lot of 80s stuff with me, and before we get to that Gen Z guy, Pixel, I want to hear your initial thoughts.
Initial thoughts going into this, I was like, cool. We see the cast. We know that Jack Palance in here, and so he's going to be a key player. We got the original cast here. We got, as far as Rebecca Ferrari playing Talina again. You got Urbano Barberini playing Cabot. And then, so basically that was the original three. But I can't forget what her father's name or what the actor was. But anyway, so basically we had a new player in here, and that's kind of like what kind of threw me off. But I was like, okay, so now you're gonna have one is dorky, nerdy, professor friend who's basically a pervert.
Loser.
Yeah, loser. And comes with them, this time. And I'm thinking, like, please, he's gonna, this time we see that Cabot back in this has been like the 80s, I guess, late 80s. He's got, I think was it a Camaro or is it a Mustang?
I don't recall off the top of my head, but Camaros are always Camaros.
But he had basically a nice green sports car. I'm thinking like, oh, don't smash this one to a tree. The Bug, who don't cares about that. But yeah, so his friend comes along with him. So I'm thinking like, all right, I know where this movie's going, But then no, overall, I'll just say this: it went opposite direction, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's cool. No, that's interesting to talk about because sometimes we get the first movie that we ever see in the sequel just amplifies certain things about that they think were successful and ends up being a chore, or it works, like in the case of Ace Ventura 2. But I think it's interesting what you said there. Pixel, you're that young 20-something Gen Z-ish kind of guy. I have no idea what goes on in y'all's heads and how things work. First watch, correct?
Yes, of course it is.
Give it to me.
Here's what I want to say. If you watched our first review for Gore, you knew that right now. I was not a huge fan. I felt that there was actually potential for what they were setting up, but they failed on many ways. In many ways, I think that they failed. Here, it is somehow better and worse. I don't know how that's possible.
You, sir, don't know the 80s, and that's okay.
This movie goes to such level. Like, the acting in here is just so bad.
Don't you dare say that about Jack Palance.
Not Jack Palance. It's not the freaking queen. Lana or Laura, whatever the hell her name is.
I gotta say, Pixel, I'm not surprised. You're giving the same review you gave last time.
No. Because last time y'all were the elements of it being bad was fine, and that's what made you partially enjoy it. I felt there was real meat that they could get into. Well, guess what? There's a lot of meat, but not the kind that I was looking for. And here,
I'm sorry this film didn't have the male full frontal nudity that you desire.
Shut
Because
your
I'll
mouth.
take the. Well, we get nipple, male nipple. We get male nice hair. We get lots of headbands. I mean, there's a lot of bromance things to like.
Yeah,
here.
that's what I meant. Yeah, especially Watney Smith and the friendship that is, with Cabot. Yeah, you can't deny that they are just the bestest of friends.
I love the fact that we get Talina fighting women again, like the first movie.
Yeah, see, the thing about that is
you hated it because you like guys.
No,
and that's okay.
Yeah. I don't.
We don't judge.
You guys are the worst. No. Like the cat fights are fine, okay? The cat fights are fine. It's just I liked actually in the first movie how we got to see Talina with Cabot. We got to see them bond, as it were, as characters. Well, here Talina is just forced into, all right, well, if you're going to have to fight to earn your freedom. She wins. No, you can't win. Take her away.
Well,
just fight another.
But I want to point out that's common trait in many fantasy story movies because the queen's evil bitch. Why do you think she was lying the whole way? She wanted to watch her die. She was too chicken to fight her.
I understand.
So when she didn't get her way, she's a spoiled princess.
I understand that.
Really,
that doesn't make it good, Venkman.
Here's the thing.
It makes it believable.
You could argue this. You could say it's a very feminist movie in that women are probably the reason why everything's happened in this film, and they do it in the way that women would do it because women don't rule in something in the same way that men do, and it's infinitely more delicious because in here, if you think about it on the surface, the guy has to magically get transported back in time, so he has the opportunity to bone the girl that he's in love with. So it's that 80s romance that would never really happen that got glamorized, and despite all the women dancing around so seductively and walking around and all that too, these guys are all dorks and would never get it. But the dork guy who gets kind of lucky, we go, he doesn't even deserve to be in this film. We're mad at him already because he's such a horrible 80s sidekick. He's not a cool one, which the 80s would have. That they go in that different direction. RDB, I think that you were inferring to, at least in part earlier. And I will say this, despite all this kind of bad stuff in here, there's still ample amounts of skin and big hair and reasons why things happen. But it's distracting me because Jack Palance, when I see him, he terrifies me. And I almost, like a dog, want to shiver and piss my pants whenever I see him. And that's the kind of gravitas that he brings to this film, because the main dude here is a beach blonde, forgettable kind of guy, and he kisses like a wimp. And so I want to see a lot of these guys get killed and massacred by these women. Unfortunately, they kind of don't.
It's surprising because while I agreed with you about that kind of in the first movie, I think here he actually has, coming back to Gor did a lot for him. I think that him coming back really just, he had some energy, and I think that's on the actor's part too.
Little dick energy.
No, that's not what I was saying, but okay. But no, with him being back to where he wants to be, whenever he was going ahead and he was trying to make his way back to the city, go ahead and gather up what he could as an outlaw. I think that even Hupp, I hated Hupp last movie. Somehow Watney Smith even improved Hupp, who is still annoying, but you can't beat Watney. When it comes to the characters in here, I think that with your horrible queen, and I don't mean because of her actions, I mean the actress just, there were a few scenes that I wish I could clip to just go ahead and show. She was horrendous. Horrendous.
So it worked. She made you hate her with what screen time she had.
It is one of those movies. She's
cut a small promo and made your heat there.
It's one of those movies. It's bad. I'm laughing. This is fun. That's the kind of movie that Gore 2 sadly is. And again, I think that there's some good elements to it that you could like. But I didn't like Talena basically being, okay, here's your random round fighting women. Okay, here's your second round fighting women.
Oh, the whip fighting? That was tremendous.
Yeah.
No, the fighting itself was fine. It's just the...
well, she didn't really have a choice. She was kind of forced into it, bro. She's a prisoner.
Trial by fire. Those that have served best have served in most severest school, Venkman. You have to understand that.
I just want to point out, though, quickly, since Pixel's been talking for 5 minutes now.
Okay. Jeez.
I had enough drinking. No, I want to point out that the key thing that would have made this movie much better, and despite what Pixel says about all the acting and all that stuff, is that if Jack Palance would have been channeling Voltan from Hawk the Slayer, his character in this, made him the uber bad guy. But instead, he was just a guy. It was, he wanted the throne, but not really. He just wanted to be more power for this. What he should have done is off the queen and took the throne and be like, now I'm the uber bad guy. Instead, he's kind of just there for like supporting character. Just to call her at the very end, you're not a queen, you're a bitch in heat.
Yes, that was great. I was like,
but overall though, despite him not being the villain,
he looks like the bishop play piece in chess. It's horrible.
Well, towards the end, I'm just thinking, why wasn't he in more Anakin movies? But that one line though, he says to the queen, kind of makes him from not being the bad guy, but it still wanted him to be more involved in the movie, but he wasn't as much. Like we watched Barbarian Queen 2.
Yeah.
That had a side character villain. The king was like he took over, he was a bad guy, but he was a weak wimp. The guy who was really in charge was the side character who was basically nobody. And that's kind of what we had with Jack Palance. Jack Palance should have been the real bad guy, but instead he was just kind of as weak as the queen was, and having we see the guy on your icon right now that plays Cabot's friend. He should have died. The queen should have killed him, but instead, because they wanted to make it a comedy, he somehow survives, goes back, and he gets arrested by the cops because he's dressed weird in the middle of the street. Happy ending for Cabot, though. Glad. But you gotta say, this movie, again, as we pointed out in the first movie we did review, this is a loose kind of ripoff of Jack Carter or John Carter, in a sense. He
just with BDSM.
Wow, I mean, John Carter I'm sure had BDSM too. We just don't see it in the Disney version.
Just not to this level.
Unfortunately, it would have been a lot better and more entertaining because in here, as bad as it is, but one of the worst scenes to me is when vertically challenged Buddy and him are running through the desert landscape.
Will they slide?
Well, not only that, but they go to drink water, and I'm like, man, you could do this better in 10 minutes. Why didn't you do like a fourth or fifth take? And he goes, don't drink that. It's poisonous. How do you know? And then they cut to like the skeleton turned over in bloody water. Like, this is awful. I mean, and then the pillaging after that's really not that good either.
What they would have done,
kids.
What they should have done with that water, been like, yeah, that's the horse's trough.
A horse wouldn't drink from that. I mean,
I'm just saying, the animal comedies would say like, you guys are drinking out of the animal stuff. We have real water over here if you want some.
It's like, no Young Frankenstein. That's
I know, right? But I mean, like, yeah, they could have done some better jokes, this. But like I said, it's very low budget.
All women and no guys in here at all.
But the way I watch this, though, this is pretty much like watching a Roger Corman movie, to me, in a sense. You know what you're getting. You know what you're coming in for. It's going to be a little cringe, but you walk away with a happy feeling, that you got to see a lot of boobies in here.
Well, the evil bitch queen, is being carried around by males, on their
Yeah,
shoulders, and that's
yeah.
one of the most. I don't know if that's from African American culture or Asian, going back a
Egyptian,
ways. Egyptian, we know that that happened too. So it's the
Cleopatra. Yeah,
significance of it. I think is tremendous, and I loved it because it totally flips the roles there. And I thought if they made this more about girls, rather than this dumb guy who we don't care about. I mean, that's what really makes a weak film unwatchable, because anytime we don't have one of the ladies who are on screen, or the evil bitch queen, it's really noticeable how unwatchable some of this stuff is. And of course, unless you got Jack Palance, to your point, RDV, who should have been the main baddie,
yeah,
this is just a paycheck move from him to show up, say a few lines, work for like 2 or 3 days, and that's it. But again, it saddens me a little bit that we don't have a certain level of campiness where people have a small budget and are trying to do that, because we've talked about before many times here on Extreme Movie Show, whether it's horror, sci-fi, um, that you can get a small budget and make it look good. And unfortunately, we just don't have sword and sorcery fantasy type movies. They have a tendency to not do well for whatever reason. But you take a movie like The Keep that we had talked about recently, that got chopped up to hell, but yet still gets a cult following to it. It's the same thing with this. Yes, it's a bad movie. Does it work? It's entertaining enough. But there's an element here that just doesn't get touched upon. And when you ruin it with big budget remakes of like Lord of the Rings or those kinds of things here too, you realize you can have a great backdrop and have fun if you have certain elements to it. And here, we just don't have this 80s level of campy goofiness. And it's a canon film, so it works for me
yes.
automatically. It's a classic by any regards. And
So,
it's just one of those things. Again, if you're into this kind of stuff, the points you guys said are absolutely true. If you've seen the first one, you're going to watch this one. You might as
yeah.
well. You better.
So I want to point out quickly, there's a little bit of trivia here, according to the IMDb page. It's kind of funny, and I kind of figured, I didn't know it was this many, but I knew basically in the very beginning of the first 10 minutes of the movie, they say his name Cabot 55 times at least. And well, I guess like 35 of them or whatever is just like just from his friend Watney saying his name over and over again. But but so basically, they clearly wanted you to know this guy's name's Cabot, in case if you didn't watch the first movie. Overall, though, I think more people, if you've seen this, there's a better chance people watching this, not seeing it through Roku or even the Internet Archive, collection website archive. Sorry for Pixel, I butchered the word for you, archive. But anyway, I think more people have probably watched this through Mystery Science Theater 3000, because remember.
Yeah.
Because
It's
this is where it debuted. So people are like, "What the hell is this?" Because I don't think the first one was ever on Mystery Science Theater 3000, but I know the second one was, at least for sure.
Well, back then, Mystery Science Theater was shown really late at night, and I
Early
used to
90s,
watch
yeah,
it,
yeah.
yeah, from the first season, and
Oh,
so it was really more. That show actually was a word of mouth thing, and that
yep.
they were kind of cutting edge. But the problem with Mystery Science Theater is when you watch it and you're listening to the guys and all that, it's an experience and you're having fun. However, if you try to find the original movie and just watch it itself, sometimes they're not unwatchable. Like Mitchell is one that's got some graphic stuff in there, and that's got Joe Don Baker in it. And we've come very close to covering that movie here on the Extreme Movie Show. But you're right, stuff like this, people go, "Hey, sword and sorcery type thing, European, so it's not going to be an American film. Oh, what the hell? Let's give it a shot." It does work.
Yeah, and I was looking at other reviews of this before we were going live. Other people are saying, it's like, the more you watch this movie, see with the first one, like, it just gets more and more hilarious because the actors, and it's true, in both movies they take their roles so seriously, but they do unintentional humor, not trying to, but it's like this. It's so crazy how that works out, and that's why I think Pixel likes it. It's one of those movies. He said it's so bad that it's good, and I agree with that. It's there are bad things, acting. I'm not too. I've seen, to me, it's like normal acting I've seen in any of the Hollywood movies with Arnold and stuff. So I don't really say like, oh, it's horrible. I mean, it's not like they're like, "Hi, my name is Cabot. Hi, Cabot." Something like that. But I mean, it's enough to make you just like laugh. I said, so if you've never seen Gore or Outlaw of Gor, aka Gore 2, watch them with your friends, man. Make it an evening out. Like, get some popcorn, get some beer, and watch it. It's a popcorn movie. It's nothing serious. It's nothing too dramatic. You get, like you said, it's getting babes fight each other. You're getting, evil women. You're getting evil men. You're getting barbarian stuff. It's like, what more could you want? But unfortunately, like, it's for those who like Death Stalker, I guess it's not up to that level, but it's where it needs to be, and this movie knows that it's bad and accepts it, embraces it.
Yeah, I mean that really sums it up there too. It knows it's a B-level movie, and you can't make a B-level movie an A movie because then it's not the same thing, and then it's just bad and it's not
So
watchable.
so
On a grander scale, it's a lot like the movie Brixel and I just talked about before this live, and that would be Moonraker with James Bond. It's so over the top, it can offend you, or you can go, "Oh my god, I can't believe they did that," and it can be entertaining too. At least that's how I look at it.
did you know that they filmed this all in South Africa?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. South Africa at the time, it's had its issues with apartheid and how it's affected things, and it continues on to this day. But you and I talked about a movie called Kill and Kill Again with Steve Chase, I think is the name of the
Yeah.
karate guy. Very entertaining film that's South African. And Black Sail, a wonderful TV show that debuted on YouTube that was a Showtime original, was based off that. There's a few things too. So there is a South African TV and movie presence that we don't really talk about too much. It's just one of those things because of
So
the situation that's going on over there.
now I gotta say, this is also interesting. IMDb has this as a 2.3 out of 10, but yet I still found it entertaining. The first movie is like a 3.4, and then Hawk the Slayer is considered 5.4 compared to the ratings on IMDb.
I could almost agree with those in terms of what I would think of those films, like 1, 2, and 3, higher being better. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily disagree with that.
So I mean, I nearly don't disagree with Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb and stuff, But like I said, like these are just hidden gems to me. They're like these movies these are clearly very low budget. Uh,
Low budget productions.
I mean, they understood what they're doing and they got the assignment and they did it. It's almost like if you look like a high school play and said, what, we're going to turn this into a movie, and you get the people who are available. You don't.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't really put money into the budgets, or like you put all the money into basically the choreography, I guess, and the filming. Most likely the film. That's about it. That's where all your money went to. That the actors just like, hey, I'll be in your movie, sure, for free.
You really just made me realize I'm kind of pissed off at this movie now, because the whole point of the ending of the first one is that Jack Palance is the bad guy of this movie, and they totally undercut him.
They changed it, yeah.
Yeah, no. This movie sucks. It eats. It's dog shit. Don't watch it.
Hey, it's based on the novel, so
it's based off of loosely, according to Wikipedia. I don't know. I haven't read it, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll read it. I don't know.
Well, I just love the fact that we got it was like slavers. I hate slavers. We got that in this movie too.
They didn't give the slave girl a name, did
No.
they? No, because she wasn't a real character. But see, that was important. It was important enough for her to have a scene there with him where he's explaining his love for oh crap, I forgot her name. Talina. Yeah. It was important enough for that to go ahead and say, you are beautiful, but I am taken by another. That honestly is a little more beautiful.
I thought she was gonna be like a spy and like try to kill him.
No, I didn't see that.
That would have been a better idea.
I don't know. Oh well.
Well, I think for me, I'll just sit there and say this. There are certain movies that you can even watch today that can really offend you. You can think they're stupid, and while they may look more spectacular and digitally modified and all this processing that can be done post-production wise, there's something we said about a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, understands what it is, and doesn't try to go outside that box and checks enough boxes that's mildly entertaining. And I think the bar has been lowered generally for movies, even though supposedly the really, really great ones. And right now, the only movies that are considered fantastic and great and the best in 20 years of a horror, this or that, are ones that have already ripped off some other thing where they're trying to send some particularly current political message in one form or another without actually really caring about the characters and stuff. And I think that's disappointing, because this movie, I can understand how we can think how the first one ended and the second one should be maybe a little bit like this, but we know what we're dealing with. So it don't do too much with that and you'll be okay. And unfortunately, a lot of movies today can't do that. I've already forgotten the name of the really horrible movie about the Airbnb with one of the Scars guards that I did a quick review on too, and it was horrible. Looked great. Could have been
Barbarian?
something. Yes, I think that's it.
I don't know.
Well,
I
and
think that was a really good movie, but okay.
I know, but I'm just saying, you know what? You look at all the money and time they put into it, and are people going to be talking about that movie 20, 30 years from now like they are this one? Because this one still kind of has that cult status to it. And films don't get a cult status unless there's something to them that people go, I see what was going on here and I kind of get it and it makes sense. And oh, by the way, so there's some other films like it. That's why the people that are cult fans of certain movies are very passionate about it. Yeah, a lot of these movies come out today, like Barbarian, might be interesting or have a thing to say or whatever, and they may do it in their own way spectacularly, whether you like it or not. But it just doesn't seem like it's got any meat on the bone as far as somebody talking about it much later from now. And we'll find out, and we'll probably talk about them at that point too. But any other final thoughts there, Pixel, before we go to RDV?
No. This is definitely a movie that you can go ahead, hang out with your buddies, have a couple beers, eat some wings, because I'm really craving wings right now, oddly enough. But other than that, I can't recommend it.
Okay. All right. RDV?
Hey, I'll just say check out some more Donna Denton films. Apparently, she was in the new Mike Hammer TV series.
Oh, yeah.
Like the end of the 80s. So
the reason, and here's a trick why it was the new Mike Hammer, because Stacy Keach, who we covered recently in Road Games and talked about that, got a lot of feedback recently on Twitter about that. That's pretty cool. One with Jamie Lee Curtis. It's an Australian road rage movie. It's kind of, sort of. Stacy Keach, he just kept getting busted for like coke, and so they would have to like relaunch the Mike Hammer show because he's phenomenal in that. Stacy Keach is a gem, which reminds me of what we're going to be doing Tuesday night. You want to let everybody know there, RDV?
I forgot what we're doing Tuesday.
Hey, yo, you got a big mouth.
Okay. Tulsa King. Like, made it seem like we're gonna do a movie. No, Tulsa King is great though. No, it's not Frank. Quit giving Frank credit. He has nothing to do with that. It's Sylvester Stallone, not Frank Stallone.
What?
Yeah, people are confusing the two. They're going on Frank Stallone's Instagram and congratulating on the show. And he's like, dude,
who the hell is Frank Stallone?
Is his brother who looks exactly like him,
but he's created a lot of music
and sounds nothing like him though. That's the funny part. He looks exactly like Sly, but but basically,
just go Google your Gen Z experiment would be to go see if you can find Frank Stallone on TikTok, okay, and just watch some of it. He's a good musician.
I know who you're talking about now. Right?
So basically, you watch Hudson Hawk, right?
No, that's Survivor.
Yeah.
That's not him.
Then wait. No. It's not. It's not Eye of the Tiger. Who is it for? What's it called? He did sing in one of the movies. His brother.
In Rocky, the original one.
Yeah.
They're the street group around the fire there that Rocky's walking by. And they're all like.
Now I have to pull up IMDb because
I told you that. Thank you.
He's in Rocky 3. And I'm pretty sure that is what he was singing, but
check out Hudson Hawk. That's another great film we've covered on this channel. He's one of the two brothers. They're trying to basically attack him in the ambulance. Mario Luigi.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I'm sorry, RDB. Was there anything else that you wanted to add on?
No, I think we covered it pretty much. You can find us on the Internet Movie Archive. And you can also find it on YouTube. I found it on YouTube. Also, you can find the Riff Tracks version of this all that too, which I'm sure it's a lot more fun than watching the normal. But
yeah, but we don't want to advertise somebody else's content, so we'll ignore that.
Well, I mean, I watched this on somebody else's YouTube channel.
Well, I found it on the Internet Archive and I tweeted it out for people that had need a little assistance. Because one thing we do talk about here, being based in the United States, is that sometimes here, with Netflix, it may be on, but in another country it may not, or different parts of the United States, some things are blocked. That's why we talk about Tubi TV, what's on Netflix, and other things too occasionally, because we do have an international audience, which is great. They bring a lot of interesting thoughts about stuff too, and it'll be interesting to continue that as we move along here on the Xtreme Movie Show. So for Gen Z, Professor Pixel, and of course RDV from the Great Midwest, I'm your host Rob. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening to Outlaw of Gor. Gore 2 Electric Boogaloo, as it were. And check us out Tuesday Night Live as RDU and I do Tulsa King Season 1, Episode 2, starring the real Stallone, not Frank Stallone. The other Stallone? No. Sly. All right, it's a lot of fun. It's kind of goofy. It's really almost a moonraker of his catalog, and I might even use that as my theme for Tuesday, depending on how tonight's episode goes. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. As always, remember, stay extreme.
Later, guys.